Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Professor Adam Ahmed Adam. You are welcome to this Parasitology lecture. It is about Introduction to Medical Parasitology Part 2. There are two terms which are related to each other but can be used differently. These are infection and infestation. Infection is the invasion of the host body's tissues by a pathogen. That pathogen can be a microorganism or an endoparasite. Then the establishment of this pathogen in the tissues of the body. Infestation, that is an external lodgement, settlement, development, and reproduction of an arthropod, which is an ectoparasite, on or in the surface layers of human, that is on the skin. So infection is for the microorganism and the endoparasites, while infestation is used for the ectoparasites, which are the arthropods. Parasite transmission. The transmission is the process by which a parasite is passed from its source. Passed from its source. That source can be a host or an environment to the susceptible host to be infected or infested. There are two types of parasite transmission. Biological transmission. This occurs when the parasite undergoes development, multiplication, or both within the vector. The vector is a living organism, commonly an arthropod, before it is transmitted to the next host. That is to say, the vector is essential for the parasite's life cycle. The example, the parasite Plasmodium species, and the vector is the female Anopheles mosquito, or the parasite is Leishmania species, and the vector is the female sunfly. Any of these parasites, they live part of their life cycle in the vector. Mechanical transmission. Mechanical transmission is the passive transfer of a parasite from a source to a susceptible host by a vector. Vector is an organism, but its role is just mechanical carriage, like the housefly, or through an inanimate object, maybe a fomite, spoon, fork, or thing like that, without the parasite being undergoing any development or multiplication in the transmitting agent. Example is the housefly, that as a vector, mechanical vector, and spoon as an inanimate vector. These can transmit Giardia lambelia, Entamoeba histolytica, and others. Then we come to roots of parasitic infection. The root of parasitic infection is the pathway by which the infective stage of a parasite enters a susceptible host. How the parasite infects or infests. Number one, oral route, by ingestion, swallowing. The parasite is acquired by ingesting infective stages like Entamoeba histolytica, Giardia lambelia. The entrance is via one or more of the five F's. These five F's are fungus, food, fluids, flies, and fomites. The fomites are inanimate objects like cutlery, that to say the fork, spoons, knives, and things like this. Then percutaneous route, skin penetration. Here the infective larvae or cercaria, that infective stages, actively penetrate the intact skin, like in schistosoma species or hookworms. Vector worm, that to say inoculation, by inoculation. Parasites are introduced through the bite of an infective arthropod, like a mosquito, for Plasmodium species, and Wuchereria bancrofti. Sexual transmission. Here the parasites are transmitted during sexual contact, like in Trichomonas vaginalis. Congenital, also known as transplacental or vertical route. Parasites pass from an infected mother to the fetus through the placenta, like Toxoplasma gondii. The blood-borne parenteral route through the skin-piercing instruments like blood transfusion, organ transplantation, or contaminated needles or knives like Plasmodium species. That is a parasite. Inhalation, this is quite rare, acquired by inhalation of the infective stages. Toxoplasma gondii as an example. Autoinfection, that is a host reinfects themselves without acquiring the parasite from outside. That's an internal infection by the parasite. At the beginning, the parasite may infect, develop, produces infective stages, some of them showered outside, but other inside the body, they infect the body, like of those of Strangulitis stercoralis and Hymenolapis nana. Then we come to the immunological part of the parasites. I concentrate here on the acquired immunity, that to say immunity acquired after infection. First, we take the protozoal diseases. There is, in many protozoal infection, there will be an immunity, but this immunity is partial, not a complete immunity, and mainly species specific or strain specific, and often not protective from future infection. Usually develops after natural infection and mediated by both arms of the acquired immunity, humoral and cell-mediated. Its effect is not to prevent the new infection, but it reduces the severity of the subsequent infection, just making the subsequent disease less severe, but not prevention. Short-lived, not living for a lifetime, and persists only when there is a small number of parasites inside the body, stimulating the immune system. If the parasites are cleared from the body, the immunity is lost. This is known as premunition. Vaccines against protozoal diseases. The only licensed human vaccine against protozoal disease are the malaria vaccines. Those are RTS, SASO1, and R21 matrix M, both targeting Plasmodium falciparum, circumsporozoid protein. This is a protein in the sporozoid, on the surface of the porozoid, expressed in this infective stage. So the prevention is at this level. The vaccine are used to reduce the risk and severity of Plasmodium falciparum malaria, especially in children living in endemic areas. Acquired immunity against helminthic diseases. Also, there is immunity in some, but the immunity is incomplete, slow to develop and species specific. Recovery from a helminthic infection does not produce sterilizing immunity, that is to say, preventing subsequent diseases. No, it does not. This immunity is partial and it develops after repeated or prolonged exposure rather than after a single infection. The single infection does not confer immunity. Its effect is it usually reduces the number of new worms, the number of worms, or limits their survival and fecundity. That to say, the capacity to produce a large number of springs. Some worms, they produce large number of eggs, but by the production of such an immunity, their ability to produce large number of eggs will be reduced. But the immunity does not prevent reinfection. Adult worms often survive for years despite such an active immunity response because they have evolved sophisticated immune evasion mechanism. Especially the worms have got a mechanism by which they to evade the immune system of the human body. Currently, there are no licensed human vaccine against helminthic diseases. By this, the lecture is over. I hope that it is understandable and I wish you all the best.